We're live here. Of course, our tech team is in Quezon City in Metro Manila, the Philippines, and I am somewhere in the peripherals. But because of this COVID-19, we created this platform so we can have the poets express themselves, their pieces, their being, and anywhere in the world. And that's why we made this as a safe platform, venue for anyone to express their heart. So tonight it's going to be very, very exciting because we will have kind of like a special themed event tonight because this month is Women's Month, International Women's Month, and we'd love to celebrate that empowerment, that the warmth, that love that emanates from our first heroes, as I call them, and it's also a season of healing for us in these dark times of the COVID global crisis. What better way than to celebrate that sense of belonging to that empowerment and that healing process? So we have poets from the Philippines, from Singapore, and also from another continent, well, across the Pacific Ocean there. We have a poet from Canada, specifically Vancouver, to share their pieces with us tonight. So we're very, very excited about that. But first, we'd like to thank our poetry partners. Of course, they are very, very supportive of our platform. I'd like to thank Tambayan Gas Show Bar. I'd like to thank also, of course, one of like the best hostels in the world, Z Hostel Philippines. Thank you so much for supporting us. And of course, Expat Choice Asia, based in Singapore, but they have a lot of network going on around Southeast Asia. And of course, we have Dream, Wide Awake, PH Coffee, and I swear their coffee is really, really awesome. So check them out on their social media pages. And thank you for supporting us. Now we're going to go and dive into our first poet. And I'm so, so excited because I haven't seen this poet for quite some time. And it's all right because we have her tonight here at We Poetry, and she is a registered psychometrician, a member of Dripped Art Movement and Ala Batsinag Pilipinas Art Collectives, a vocalist of Amaris and Diana, and she is a huge advocate of mental health. And in these trying times, we need that sense of strength. And apart from that, she balances off with her love for photography and traveling. I love traveling and photography too. Ooh. And she's been writing since she was 7. And she always thought that it's always in her veins, the poetic pen. And she started with, of course, the basic poetry that we all study in school, and then went into free verse. And then she went into mental health and dove into social issues that we have today. Let's all welcome from Lipa City, Batangas, the Philippines, Vera Ibarra. Hello, Vera.
Sorry. Wait lang. Hi. Oh no.
Hey. Okay, it's all right.
Okay, there.
Awesome.
Hi. Okay.
Hello, Vera.
Hi. Okay,
Ha-
so sorry. Do I start now?
yes, let's go. Let's go for it.
Okay, right. So the first piece that I'm gonna perform, so this is actually a collaboration with Rain Villasanta from Drift Art Movement. So we made this for one of our anniversary shows. So I'm gonna perform it alone this time. So the title of this piece is Salvation. So it's about abusive relationships. Okay. Make me a believer. Baptize me with your every truth. Fill my once colorful mind with your words so gray and black that although it may taint my thoughts, I'm still willing to throw all my colors away. Sanctify me with the blood of your love. Conceal my scars with your apologies. See, I worship the floor you walk on. Glorify your sanctuary like a misguided saint. Corrupt me. Burn my body. Ignore my cries for plea. Yet I still bow my head and bend my knees. Consecrate me with your rituals. Justify all the marks and bruises. I will make these a symbol of your relentless, vindictive sacrament. I ask for dominion at your feet, begged for your kisses and twisted words, for this will be my salvation. Make me a believer. Let me memorize a perverted version of your Bible, for in my isolation the truth becomes distorted. Look into my faithful eyes, brush aside my painful looks. I know I might drown. I know I might bleed. I know I might break, but no, I won't let go. Stare at my broken bones, and I will share a smile with you so faint you'll barely notice my gradual destruction. This will be my salvation. Make me a believer. Let my thirst be quenched with your holy water. Sprinkle them upon my defeat. Bless me with cigarette burns. Fill it with horizontals and verticals. Mark my every mistake. Pour down shattered hearts and flawed hopes. And when all of these look just the same, clothe me with the cloak of your false purity. This will be my salvation. Make me a believer. See, I am a stranger inside an unkind structure covered in ashes and burns. You took what was left of me. Make me a believer. See, I figured this is how I should breathe. My lungs so tight that I murmur whimpers in every touch. My world is a dark hole of chaos, but I always find my hands reaching for that reason to breathe. For this is my salvation. Make me a believer. You who overstayed your welcome, baptize me. You who are not a monster but are just too human, which is more frightening. Sanctify me. You who convinced me that I was weak and crazy. Consecrate me. You who bade me to forget their names and faces. Make me a believer. You who denied yourself of heaven, baptize me. You who denied yourself the love I am capable of, sanctify me. You who destroyed every bone in my body, trying to fit it to another. Consecrate me, you who tried to break my walls down with your fists. Make me a believer, you who beat me black and blue, no colors in between, only to apologize for it. Baptize me, you who swore an oath to protect me. Sanctify me, you who still calls me in the middle of the night. Consecrate me, you who still looks for me in every face. Make me a believer, you who now bathed in his own tears. Make me a believer, you who only now realizes my grace. Make me a believer, you who bends your knees and plead. Make me a believer, you who has lost me, you who has learned your lesson. I am now free, my sins are forgiven. So that was the first piece. So the second piece is a bit darker. So actually, I don't write light pieces, so trigger warning. So this one's about um, a story, that kind of a story about my attempt a few years ago. So, alright. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry that you had to find an empty box of cigarettes in my bag. I'm sorry I lied and said that those were from weeks ago. It is what kept me from going over the edge again and again. It may be so unconventional, but Mom, I would rather have the toxic smoke cloud my mind than have these gruesome thoughts split my heart and mind open, sucking the life out of me. I'm sorry you had to see the cuts on my skin. They reek of uncertainty and disappointment, but these cuts were for every single time I wanted to pull the trigger. I avoid taking the ramp and leaning too close over the edge in fear of temptation coming from below, cheering for me, jump, 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 in the exact opposite of how these words were meant to be encouraging, as if the spiky rocks and the height of despair were not enough to make me actually want to jump. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry if you had to hear me talk about how I want to split my skull open with blood gushing out of it when your brother just died. I'm selfish. I know. I have no excuse for this. I'm sorry you had to watch your one sweet little girl grow up to be a self-loathing, suicidal machine that you call daughter. I'm sorry for hurting you the most. I'm sorry if I failed to recognize that you are also tired of your own flesh and all you could really tell me is that God is still good. But I'm sorry, Dad. It's not that I don't believe in God, it's just that I've tried that too and I'm still empty. I'm sorry, my dear brother. I'm sorry if you always had to clean up after my mess, if you had to cover up for me whenever I did something stupid. I'm sorry if I was too blinded by my own pain to even feel that you actually care for me. I'm sorry that you're stuck with me for life, and I can't tell you how many more times you'll be ditching your busy schedule just to talk me out of killing myself. I know I promised not to do it, and I'm trying. I swear to God, I am trying. But there are too many cars quickly passing by, and one hit will do just the job. And baby girl, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to see your older sister cry every night because my heart hurts. I'm sorry I had to randomly pull you in for a hug or ask you to smother me with kisses. It was all that made me feel loved. You were what stopped me from doing this for the longest time. I'm sorry you now have to grow up without me, confused and mad at the world, or worse, mad at me. I won't blame you, but all I will ever hope for is that you don't grow up to be like me. Don't isolate yourself in fear of the demons I have battled for than I am, and I know it. You will live a happy and healthy life, one that does not make you question your worth or your value. Yes, you will get that happily ever, one that you read from your books. Do it for me. Live the life and bask in the happiness that I failed to do. I'm sorry. Ata's just really tired now. I'm gonna sleep for a little while. I'll see you soon. Will you sing a lullaby for me, like the ones I used to sing to you? Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna see you in your dreams. I'm sorry, but that's it.
All right, Vera. Wow. I mean, your two poems, I I love watching you perform those two poems. And see, I'm actually forgetting the letters right now. That should have been in those words. But these two poems, they, yes, they are dark, but it's the, I sense, I suppose that's the admission that there is such thing as darkness
Mhm.
that makes us stronger as well.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, what were you feeling when you were writing these poems?
I guess the second one, kasi that one's the one I relate to more, because it's more personal for me since I'm still shaking every time I perform it. It's a true story. So when I wrote that, it was more of a letter, but also kind of like when you write things down, kasi you recognize how you feel, and then once you've written it down, you've read, you see clearly like what you can do about how you feel, something like that.
But when you mentioned that you're still shaking when you
Yeah.
perform these pieces.
Mm.
The- a lot of people have asked me that before, because I
Mm.
shake too when I get into that quote unquote zone. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for you, does it come? I mean, right away the shaking. I mean, do you control it?
No. I think at first the shaking is more of stage fright, because I like it never goes away. I don't know, it never goes away for me. But then like as I'm performing, it the shaking is more of a trigger, or like you remember the time when you wrote this piece. Yeah. So that's what happens.
And like when, I mean, a lot of poets say that they draw a lot of their inspiration, their muses, usually turn into something that really struck them emotionally or
Mhm.
psychologically. Is it also the same thing for you?
Well, yeah, most of my pieces are from my experience, or other people's experience, because honestly I find it hard to write about things that I have not firsthand experienced.
Have you written a piece before that, like, you didn't really feel like writing, but you had to?
A lot of times.
A lot of times.
Yeah, pag may theme ganon, or like it's commissioned.
uh, Commissioned, like, for school or for
Hmm.
what are those situations wherein you were asked to make a poem?
I was asked to make a poem one time for like a wedding. So ano siya, not really vows, but so this person wanted to wanted me to perform during her wedding. And I don't write kasi about mushy love, love stuff. So it was
I get you.
hard for me kasi I write about, personal experiences, darker side of poetry. But yeah, it's a fun experience kasi you get to use your imagination more, put yourself in other people's shoes. So which is great.
Uh, how did it feel when you were sharing that poem that was commissioned for that wedding?
Uh, well, seeing people's reaction na parang, they get kilig and like, oh, parang ganun. I mean, it's fulfilling to see people appreciate your art no matter what you feel like, your own opinions about your art. Para at the end of the day, when you see that people appreciate it, I think that's a fulfilling feeling.
Okay, I mean for dark poets like us, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, no? And people always I will ask you this,
Mm-hmm.
just for the heck of it. So why is it that of course you have this kilig, which by the way, for people who don't understand Tagalog or Filipino, kilig doesn't have a direct English translation. But it's that giddy feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like a warm, fuzzy oof, you know the
Butterflies
oof.
in your stomach. Yeah.
Right. And it's been asked like why is it that we don't write about these things?
Personally, I think there are already so many poets to write about these things. I don't like, I mean, I don't not like writing about these things. I don't not like these topics. It's just that I find it harder to connect to people. Well, connect with myself pala when it comes to writing about these topics. I think I'm not a bitter person. I'm in a relationship. So it's more of really what is your advocacy? What do you want to talk about, you know. So I guess for me, it's really more on the things that people sometimes refuse to talk about, or they think it's not, something that you can openly converse about. So yeah, that's why I chose. That's why I write more about dark stuff.
Dark. Yeah, because it's I mean you have to admit it's actually fun. I mean
Mm.
for me, I mean for you is it fun to write about darker subjects?
I wouldn't say fun for me. It's more therapeutic, I guess. Kasi, I mean, of course, it's as cliche as it
Mm,
sounds. You know how artists are people who release their emotions through art. So for me, it's more therapeutic than fun. But once you perform it, like you've been performing it a couple of times, I guess that's where it gets fun. Because you get to see people's reactions, like, oh, this person can relate. Parang there's an impact there, which I wouldn't say fun, but more of, um, I guess the term again would be fulfilling.
hmm. So I mean, we're going to take a close in this, and I hate to release you from this segment. And but thank you so much
Thank you.
for having us
Thank
be
you.
the platform. And
Mhm.
just a last note from you: what
Mhm.
would you, uh, what would you, um, what would you would like to share for poets who like to write about darkness and what do you think why do you think they should write about these things if they enjoy it?
Um, I guess if you want to write about these things, you have to figure out why you want to write about these things. You're not supposed. I mean, for me, you're not supposed to write about something just because it's in the trend. You have to write about it because you believe in what you're writing. You believe in what your poetry is about. And I think that more people should lean towards writing about current issues, social issues, psychological issues, and everything. Because at the end of the day, parang there's still stigma here in the Philippines. That when you say spoken word poetry, it's hugot about love, and again, nothing wrong about that. But I think we need to shed more light on relevant issues especially right now, with what's happening in the world. There are so many things that, we can use this platform to reach out to people who feel like they're alone. So I think, and don't be afraid to write about dark stuff kasi you're not alone when it comes to these things. It's not weird. It's not just you. A lot of people write about it too.
Absolutely. Like it's that
Mm-hmm.
sense of that, yeah, you're not alone. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Yeah.
that's one of the things why we have this platform. That's why we have We Poetry, because we wanted to tell the poets all around the world that you are not alone. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
usually there's like, open mic, or there's an event about music or about theater, but not
Mm-hmm.
so much on poetry.
Yeah.
So that's why we thought, you know what? Maybe we should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here we are on our first episode. Oh my goodness. So thank you so much again, Vera.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
any social media or other platforms you want to promote?
Right now, none because I still don't post my stuff online. So probably soon. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we'll watch out for your works in the future and your future performances. Yay! So we'll
Yay!
have you. Hopefully, we'll have you back again here at We Poetry. So thank you so much
Definitely.
again. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much again, Vera from Lipa City, Batangas, Philippines. Represent on our first. Thank you so much. All right,
Thank
now
you.
we're gonna go from Lipa City. We are going to go to right the national capital region, and this next poet, I have the honor and the privilege to work with closely, especially in the collective Alabatinag Pilipinas. And this poet is also a musician, and she is from the art collective Alabatinag Pilipinas, and I love the name that she chose, and it does personify her spirit as a proud feminist and, get this, animal rights advocate. And I'm a huge, huge, huge fan, and I'm a huge fighter for animal rights. And if you check out her social media, you know what I mean. So we'll get that from her later. And her heart is very, very close to the marginalized members of the society, and loves to be involved for help in various social actions, using art, writing, and of course music as a means for her to reach out for these people. And I have seen how much passion she has for social justice, and she continues in doing that. So let's just have her on stage right now, live here at We Poetry from Taguig City, NCR, the Philippines. We have Mutya. Mutya, hello.
Hey,
Hey. Oh, there's the guitar, people.
wait, I
It has
see.
made the appearance. So, all right, okay, Mutya. I think we are ready for you.
Alright,
Although the screen is currently ebony,
wait,
it's
again, happening.
it we don't know if there is a brownout happening in Taguig right now, but let's just double check on that. And of course, we are live, so we are experiencing these things. And but rest assured, don't worry, we're fixing it. And of course, we have our poets also. There we go, we're back. Let there be light. So, all right, and I think you have a few pieces for us tonight.
Yes. Um.
Take it
So,
away, Mutya.
all right. So, is my mic okay? Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, my first piece actually is very timely. So, I wrote a poem, especially dedicated to our frontliners. So I'm going to start with the song from Pink Floyd. It's called Wish You Were Here. So the poem is actually dedicated especially for those who sacrifice their lives to save so many people and fight COVID-19. So I'm going to start. So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from gray? Can you tell that when you feel cold still rain down from above? And who you think you can tell? As the sun sets and takes away your shadow, our hats are off as we bid goodbye to you, our fellow. It's time for your body to rest while we bear this sorrow. Heavy hearted we may be, but we are thankful for your gift of tomorrow. You taught us that selflessness is a trophy, and kindness is a crown on your head despite the weary. You gave your life to save many. Courage is your armor to fight a monster we cannot see. As you wear your white gowns, you are ready. You carried the world on your shoulder, even though it's heavy. As you put on your mask, you are steady. No signs of fear. You stood up and fought the enemy. You left your loved ones, we know, and we shall never forget that praises for your names should flow. Your heroism, engraved in the hearts of mankind, will show. As you elevate up to the heavens, wings will glow. We shall never forget to thank you with our every breath. The frontliners of this difficult in the history books where your names are set. How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running in the same old ground. What have we found? Same old fears. Wish you were. So that's my first performance. Um, Lola Khan.
Hello, hi. Yeah, so as
First,
I mean, with the frontliners that we have who are really risking a lot of, we're risking a lot of lives in this entire process.
yeah, that's true. So I think it's really important that we give them honor and we recognize their efforts because it's not like an easy task for them to go there in the front line and risk their lives. That they don't even know if they're going to die anytime soon, especially with the situation in the country. So
And
yeah,
and they're and they're the new heroes. They're the
yes,
heroes of this crisis, this struggle, and such bravery that we're seeing from them.
yes. So I have another poem, and this one I wrote it when I was having a trouble coping up with my depression because I had a phase in my life where I was so lost and I don't know what to do. So of course, as what I do when I'm feeling down, I write down all the things that I'm feeling. So I came up with a poem, and it's called "Who Am I?" The air gave me the first breath of confusion. Into the space, my mind is floating, like a dust, small and unknown, traveling into the black holes of endless possibilities of ifs and whys. The ocean gave me the first taste of saltiness. Into the abyss, my soul is searching like a creature of the deep waters, ugly and unpopular, swimming into the underwater caves of infinite dreams. Soil gave me the first touch of groundedness. Into the woods, my body is constantly navigating to find its way out of the dark, like a mud, like a mud. strange and avoided, soaked into the wisdom of the old trees and their taste of the past, the current, and the future. Winter gave me the first feeling of a freezing heart. In the frozen waters, heart got stuck, like an ice, strong and hard, resisting the gift of warm sunshine and the candidness of soft snow falling on my palms. I am a boring piece of wood, lingering to my ideals of what a happy, meaningful journey is. Or is it just stubbornness? Hope is peeking through the corners of this world. Shall I just open the windows of positivity and witness the colors of life fly? I stared into the eyes of the smiling faces of the wolves as they eat their prey, feasting on the meat of the helpless sheep. Tell me, what is hope? This world is unfair, but we should keep fighting, don't we? So yeah, that's the poem. Who am I?
Yeah. I mean, your pieces are always it's a very personal voyage for you.
Yeah, that's true.
And when did you start writing poetry?
Oh, I started when I was maybe 10.
Oh, wow. Pretty young.
Yeah,
I,
I really like writing. So when I was young, I normally just write short skits and yung mga the children type kind of stories. So I have a little notebook like this notebook, but it's I think I remember it even has like a Hello Kitty design on it, and I write everything
I,
there. So and then when I reached high school, my teacher he would always encourage me to write poetry, write stories, write feature stuff like this. So yeah, I like writing.
and in those in your high school days or in your primary school days, what poems were you loving to write at that time?
Oh, in high school, because I was also into news, so I'm very as young as 12. I'm very involved with political discussions, and I'm very informed about what's happening in the country. So I remember I even wrote a poem that is actually very nationalistic, and then my school published it in our newspaper. So yeah.
What was your first reaction when you finally saw your first published work?
Of course, I'm very happy, but not everyone is not into politics or into talking about the situation of the society. So it's like even though I'm very proud of it, some people they're like saying, "You're too young for it. You're too young to get involved about politics. You're too young to express your opinion about it. You don't know the real world," something like that. But deep down inside, even though I know I'm young, I know I have my say because I'm still part of the society, and the future is actually I think it's relying on the younger ones. So the younger ones should be more informed about it. That's what I believed during the time, and I said that the younger ones should be more involved.
Absolutely. I mean, the younger generation, they're the future. I mean, that's why we're working so hard. It's for them.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
true.
the tomorrow, as we call it. So, but like this dream of ours to preserve for them. I mean, do you have a poem about that, or maybe a music or a song that you can think of to? I mean, for the future, for the future generations.
Right now, I'm really not writing songs. I just play the guitar, but um, I have so many poems, uh, but I can't
Share.
share.
I love you, Matya. This is so impromptu. That's why this is live, guys. We are not manicured in any way. This is not like curated. This is very like we're just hanging out. So that's why I'll be like, "Ooh, Mutia, do you want to share a poem? More poems?"
It's very, very you, Lakan.
I don't know if I should say thank you to that, but yeah, I'll take that.
I don't know if I well,
Actually, if people do not know how Mutia and I met, it was so weird because we were just outside and we were just chatting, and I didn't know that you were a poet. And then I performed in that event, and then lo and behold, you got ushered to the stage. I was like, "Oh, whoa, you're a poet." And that was oh my goodness. Actually, you know what? Maybe one of these days we should, because we have a collab piece, but maybe not tonight.
but remember, our theme is empower and hope.
Yes, that's not.
God.
So sorry, people. Yes, I coughed, but I do not have COVID-19.
Oh my God.
People, I have been locked down in my room.
Um,
Actually, I've not really gone out for like more than 15 days. So I'm good, people. So, and I hope that everyone that is watching our show tonight, I hope that you guys are safe in your homes with your loved ones, with your family, and yeah, in these dark times, you really need to have bravery. So I think you are ready. You have that look.
no, not really. Actually, I cannot find. I think not the.
I love it when Mutia's face it lights up that way. You're you miss this.
Oh, I really do, but I cannot. I cannot find the poem. I cannot find the poem.
So, but while you're trying to find it, I mean, you're also part of the corporate world.
Oh yes. Hmm.
So, how do you balance corporate world and poetry,
Uh,
or art for that matter,
it's
music?
it's not really easy. Like I remember when I was very like active with Alabatinag. Straight from work, I go to our events, and then
That's
the next
insane.
day I'll be going to another event for my work around 6 a.m. It's
I
not
remember.
good. It's always about passion. So if you like what you're doing, even though it's not easy, you will feel satisfied and happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I know what she's talking about because I would literally see her arrive in her full on corporate attire, or sometimes she would be coming from like a cocktail meeting. She would having that long dress of hers, with jewelry and all, and she's gonna perform like a dark piece, and we're like, ooh, okay, wait, we're not ready for that. So, she's you're literally like trying to find like the poem, but you have a lot of poems there.
What do you want?
Just do like a me, like a ooh random you, something like that.
Okay, all right.
All right. Okay. So I think she's ready. If she's not, I'll do some. Please check out our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and did I miss any? And also, of course, here in YouTube. And if you want to sign up for open mic for next week, please message us on any of our social media platforms. And Motia is flipping through the pages now. All
All
right.
right. So, this next poem is called Meine Blume. So, Meine Blume is a German. It's in German. Meine Blume is like my flower. So this can be applied to anything. It's up to your interpretation, but for me, it's about taking care of something you're passionate about and keeping it to your heart until you're ready to release it to the world. So, um, okay, here we go. Let me adore you from afar, because I know I can't touch you yet. If I do so, I'm afraid I might shorten your life. Let me look at you from a distance, because if I move closer, I might scare your fragile heart. If I do so, I'm afraid I won't see you again. Let me smell you through the blowing wind, because I know your fragrance will reach my soul. And if I will wait patiently, you will bloom only for me. If only I can pluck you out and take you far away with me. Oh, I'm fighting this feeling, you see, because I know I cannot just own you. So I'm just here, sitting, waiting until you're fully blossomed. And if you're ready to fall, I will catch you with my bare hands and treasure you that moment worth of million smiles. Once I have this chance, I will caress you with passion and love, bury you deep into my heart, water you with words of kindness and adornment, give you sunlight through my open eyes. I will be your window for you to get the rays of the light. You can grow inside me, my flower, my lovely flower. Okay.
Woo! But yeah, okay. You know what? I miss those lines of yours. I swear. Thank you so much, Matya. Woo! And I hope that we get to see you back here at We Poetry. So thank you and regards to everyone. And I think there's only one person there. Right? Hi. So and stay safe, stay healthy, Matya.
Thank,
And thank you so much again.
thank you, Lakan. Thank you.
Bye bye. So that was Mutia from Taguig City, NCR, the Philippines. And we're now going to fly um, to not so far this time. We are going to go to Singapore. And our next poet, I'm excited to have her. She performed in the Philippines last June for Alabacinag Pilipinas at Tambayan Gastro Bar, who is one of our sponsors for tonight. And she is such an amazing poet and a person because she really loves the environment, and that's why she's an eco poet, environmentalist, activist, and she uses her words to explore the injustices that we knowingly and unknowingly participate in. She travels to escape city life often, and she travels around. And if you check out her social media, you'd know what I mean. And she and the dustbin whispers along the way. In the past few years, she has been published in two anthologies in London and England, won the 2018 and 19 Causeway Exchange Poetry Slam between Singapore and Malaysia, and emerged runner up at the Asia Pacific Poetry Slam. And just a little private note over here, she does love cocktails and oddly shaped nails. And we will gonna be asking her about that later. And wakeboarding. And I know she also loves furry animals because she's very, very into that. And if you want to check out her Instagram later, she will tell us more about that. Let's all welcome from
It's
Singapore.
real.
Hello.
It's
Yeah.
really funny hearing you talk about me while I'm trying to remain silent. So
Okay, let's all welcome
I had
Olivia.
to switch on my
Hey.
mic and be like, okay,
Hello, man.
hi.
Oh my goodness. Where
Yes.
are you in
Well,
your
I've literally just
place?
escaped from a dinner. I'm like hiding myself in a corner somewhere.
Okay, we will back to your dinner quickly. And I know you have some powerful messages, a message to share with us
I
tonight.
do, I
So
do, I
take
do. I'm wait. Um, give me a second here. Like, okay, what can I
Sure.
do with this app? Because this is the first time I'm using Skype on my phone, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if I try to find my poems on my phone and I like
Oh,
get out of
you
this
can.
app.
You can. And it's just going to have like a little screen on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's gonna be somewhat minimized a bit. I mean, it's gonna have a smaller screen on somewhere
Okay,
in
so
your
if I
phone.
do if I do this, can
You
you guys
can.
still see me?
Oh no, we cannot. Ooh.
Hmm. Okay, give me a second.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yes, people, we are very, very much live. That's why we have these things. And exciting.
But you can still hear me, right?
Yes, yes,
You can hear
absolutely.
me.
Yeah, we can. The most important thing is the poetry. So let's do this.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I'm very technologically unadvanced.
You know what? I would second you on that. I mean, like that. Gosh. But yeah, let's all welcome Venezia May from Singapore.
Hey guys. Well, I to be honest, I'm just here to rant a little bit now that we're all at home alone, and I don't know how many of you guys celebrate Chinese New Year, but any kind of New Year or any kind of celebrations, and you have to meet your relatives. And I mean, if anybody has called you fat, like your reunions, or like when you've met all of your relatives, and um, this is for you. It's called Fat Girl at Chinese New Year. Reunion dinner starts with walking into a house that smells like chicken wings, sotong balls, and my grandma's never failing capability. Out of filial piety, I reach to hug my grandma before I reach for a chicken wing, and she greets me with a, wow, getting fatter and fatter. I suddenly find my outstretched arms overindulgent. Two spring rolls dipped into a deep fryer and then left soaking in the fridge overnight until the oil becomes a thick white layer. My smile. Too many rice bowls full for a Chinese girl. I imagine my grandma slender with high cheekbones at 26, preparing a Chinese New Year dinner. Grandma turns back to her cooking and does not pursue it. I have a sotong ball and do not go back for seconds. Grandma turns back to her cooking and does not pursue it, but her words follow me around like that annoying baby nephew who never runs out of questions. Is it because you had too much Indomie on holiday? Is it because you haven't stepped on a treadmill in 3 weeks? Is it because you've been snacking late and the salt bloats up your cheeks? Should you be letting yourself go and you haven't found a man to marry? Coming from an extended family where all your cousins are girls and either tall, skinny, or pretty isn't easy. There are years where the seven of us have had to stand our backs against the wall, uncles and aunties lined with guns, armed with comments and comparisons, the room turning into a coerced pageant, and we, simultaneously the models and prisoners of our bodies, as if I needed to know who had the best figure in the room. As if I needed to know that my younger sister was also the prettiest and my other sister looked too much like my father, or that my arms would grow as big as my uncle's thighs. 5 years ago, I let the word stew in the hot pot, swish them around, pick at things because I couldn't bring myself to eat. 2 years ago, I only drank soup and binge ate an entire jar of pineapple tarts at 3 in the morning. But this year, I do not take it out on my body. This body has been 10 kilos lighter, taking the diet of an apple a day way too literally, and 10 kilos heavier from eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's every night at supper. They've seen 4 packets of Indomie chowed down in one sitting and then thrown up in the shower, so no. This body is no longer a prisoner but a warrior. 26 years and I finally learned to sit comfortably in its armor. And I remember that grandma does not mean to hurt me. That at 26 years old, she didn't get enough food because all the food was meant for my grandfather. And when I first went to Australia, she was so worried I would come back all skin and Western ideals. And when I come back thicker and still know how to call her grandmother, she thanks the gods that somebody is taking care of me. And even though she calls me fatter and fatter each year, she still cooks a mountain of food and slides peeled prawns in my soup when she thinks I'm not looking. Yeah, that's the first poem.
Oh my gosh! Whoa, it's the first time I've ever heard that poem from you.
Yeah, it's a new
And
one. It was Chinese New
okay,
Year poem.
oh, when did you write it?
Well, Chinese New Year was end of January or like early Feb this year.
Oh wow! And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, that was also the time that COVID started to hit Singapore as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. So I haven't seen my grandma since then, and
Well, I hope she's doing fine and good.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's good.
I've heard her over the phone, so I think she's okay. But like, you know, you start thinking about these things when you're like, when you can't see them again, and you're like, well, I hate this about you, but I also love you.
Okay. I'm a grandmother person. It's goodness. Wait, I'm not ready. There was no memo. Uh, and because when I met Ven or Venezia,
Yeah,
May of last year, I did not see that. I mean, what I just heard from you, that
yeah.
persona, I did not see that. And just to for the record, I do love chicken wings. So
Me too. That's my favorite food.
right. Okay. When you get to Manila, or if I go
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
we have unlimited chicken wings here in Manila. It's gonna be like with like 7 flavors. So yeah, but we'll get into that when we see each other here.
Get me there. Get me there.
Yeah, and
Oh,
like one of
yeah.
like Venetia's for me, the I mean, no offense to all of the poets in Singapore, but she's the closest poet to my heart in Singapore, and she has seen. I mean, we've talked a lot about
Yeah.
not just about poetry, but like about so many things about the gray skyscrapers of Singapore.
About life.
So, but like before we go to like your next poem,
Yeah.
I'd love to like I mean, do you have any like platforms that you want to like advertise? Any events that's gonna come up also?
Sadly, right now there's no events. Right?
Right. I
Well,
mean,
on maybe online, but like yeah, all my physical events have been like. Well,
it's gone.
let's not talk about that. But
No,
like,
that's not. Oh, sure, no. But like in
but
social media,
yeah, well,
Instagram.
I do have an Instagram account. I just started recently. It's venimay.poetry.
How do you spell that?
VENE
Mm-hmm.
and then MAY and then
There we dot
poetry.
poetry. There we
Yeah,
go. So you
yeah,
got that, guys. But we're
yeah.
gonna be posting that link later on in our social media. So watch out for that if you want to check out other of the adventures of Miss Venezia May. So I think we're ready for your second poem now. I
Okay,
think.
I'm gonna try. Like I've memorized this once, but I'm gonna try to memorize it right now. Like,
All right.
so you guys can see my face. um, this well, I was having a conversation recently with a couple of my friends, and it was about um, peeing in public, right?
Oh,
And
oh,
interestingly,
interesting.
yeah, and we in I know in Singapore it's not a common thing,
Yes.
and we're just like, so who has peed in public? And you know, people are so embarrassed to admit it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
guys, like when people don't have bathrooms, they pee in public all the time, and
yes.
it is an embarrassing thing, and especially for women, it's like
Absolutely.
like what do you do? Do you squat in public, or like, you know, what happens when you do in broad daylight and you get harassed, and then you wait for the darkness, or like for night, and you pee in public, and it's still like you still get harassed, and worse still, you get raped, and you might get
Yes,
murdered.
yes.
And so I read this article about these two girls from Uttar Pradesh,
Mm.
and they were, one girl was 14 and one girl was 15, and basically they waited 15 hours to pee, and when they did, they they got raped and murdered. And
Oh,
so this poem is for them. Yeah.
all right.
So it's called Unripe Mangoes Hanging, no, Unripe Dreams Hanging from Mango Trees. And I am going to attempt to read it from memory. Okay. We've never met. You two teenage girls from Uttar Pradesh, cousins. To unripe mangoes hanging from the same tree, its trunk a hunchback of religion and tradition, and you, two young Dalit women, hanging unripe dreams from a mango tree. Me, a bunch of grapes hanging from a vineyard, carefully pruned. Each dream a ruby globe sprouting, primed to be bottled as a bottle of luxury wine. I think about my dreams a lot in the shower. Plan my next growth spurt in the office bathroom. Sing plans into the mirror while I brush my teeth. You don't have this luxury of privacy. Without bathrooms in homes or schools, it becomes a binary of open defecation or modesty. Because women squatting in the open in broad daylight is unheard of. Because women opening their legs is an invitation to receive. So, honey, if you don't want an unwelcome guest, learn not to open the door. Me, a mouth full of the importance of consent at poetry open mics and therapy circles, learning the intricacies of my body, learning that each body part is a temple, you, unlearning your biology, contorting your body the way it functions into an apology, constantly testing your kidneys. You wait up to 15 hours for the darkness to pee. One night in 2014, I am waiting in a toilet line after a movie, always complaining how women take the longest time, oblivious to how you wait for the moon to show her face. Mother Nature to share her privacy that night. You learn that darkness is sometimes Judas, harbors greed and violence behind a curtain of innocence. You, unripe dreams plucked too early. You, unripe bodies passed around like samples at a food fair, hung like lifeless ornaments from your own saris. Unripe bodies hanging from a tree. You, punished just for finding somewhere safe to pee. You see, this is our world. 1 in 3 without basic sanitation, and 500 million women are bearing this burden. Some of us are born into places never having to think about preserving our modesty. or some of us, are dying trying to navigate this world. Unripe dreams hanging from mango trees, dying trying to keep a semblance of our dignity. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. You know how much noise I've been creating in our borough right now. Sorry. I've been like, whoa! I was just snapping like forever. I was like, oh my God, that those lines. I mean, this in this world wherein like there's a lot of misogyny and a lot of
Yeah,
these thinking.
yeah.
Uh, wow, it's powerful. Then it's powerful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I
So
think I did read that article and I was just like I have to write something. I mean, I don't even think about doing them justice, but I just have to write something about them so people know, that there are people like women who don't have bathrooms or like don't have toilets and like literally thinking about somewhere to pee. We're just like, where's the next toilet?
yeah.
And we don't even have to think about like where can I go that is safe or like that nobody will harass me. You know, yeah,
and and I think like it's interesting because I know a lot of people, women who went to India, and
yeah,
there are a lot of cases,
yeah, exactly.
and this is not just in India, but I think that, if I'm not mistaken, there was a global study before in Asia about
Yeah,
rape, and the response was staggering because a lot of men think that it's all right. Like
yeah,
I think I'm not sure, but definitely more than 50% said that it was all right.
yeah,
Um, and I'm part of the male species, and I'm not part of that statistic.
yeah.
You know, and that's. I mean, your message was just so clear, and yet it was. Oh my goodness, I'm out of words. I'm, and I'm a poet. Oh my goodness.
Well, I
The
miss you. I hope you enjoyed that.
yes, I mean the beauty about poetry is that when it just like stabs you
Yeah.
right there. Oh my goodness. So like for you, Ven, though, like what's next for you though? Like, where is your poetry going to like go from here? Like, do you have any plans and I don't know, taking up masters or like getting your self published like a book?
Well, that's a good question. I think I am working on a Spotify kind of like a playlist actually. I want my
Mm.
words to be heard. I don't want it to see it on the page, but I want it to be heard. And I want people to be listening to it, like on the MRT or on the trains and stuff like that. Yeah. So hopefully that's where I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Okay, no, guys, I don't have COVID. It just went in the wrong track. So I guess I'm also like drinking coffee just to like you know me and coffee. I mean we're best friends. Sorry, but yeah, I mean I think a lot of poets would want to get published on paper, but there are a lot of platforms that we can explore now,
Yeah, exactly.
and much more.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, whoever who would want to do a Spotify playlist with me, like I would love to have like a whole lot of different voices together,
Woo!
in one playlist. I think that would be amazing.
That. Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, that's plugging now. World, are you listening to this? So, but I will take you up on that though.
Yes, yes, please.
For sure, for sure. And
Okay,
well, I'll catch up
awesome.
with you
Yeah,
and one of these days.
yeah,
And yeah, we'll talk about that. But thank you
yeah.
so much, Van. And you can now roll
Amazing.
back into dinner.
I know, but thank you so much for having me. It's
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yes.
and, and take care going home. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
You take care of that cough.
Yes, I will. Okay. Bye bye.
See
Take
you.
care,
See
man.
you.
Too. All
Bye.
right. All right, that was Venezia from Singapore, and she will be, of course, rolling into her dinner. That reminds me, guys. Time check. It is 8:27 in Manila, and also in Singapore. So if you haven't had dinner, catch that. And while you're doing that, you can listen, hear, and watch us at We Poetry, and we are an online poetry open mic, and we are a pioneer for doing that not just here in the Philippines, but probably across the globe. So, providing platforms for poets and people who do not know that they are poets, and then suddenly, ooh, that's poetry. Yes. So we want to break stereotypes. That we don't aim for excellence here, guys. We want something that's raw, that's real, something that really talks like a conversation. So, and talking about conversation, our next poet for tonight, I met her through a mental health um, field. And mental health is something that is very crucial nowadays, especially with this global pandemic that's happening. And I am so, so happy. I am privileged. We are all honored to have her here at We Poetry. This next poet is a psychometrician as well, and she is into really diving into the mental health situation of not just here in the Philippines, but like anyone pretty much who would love to ask, wait, who am I? What do I do? And she has a master's in psychology from taking up her MA, her master's of psychology at University of the Philippines in Diliman, and she is the founder of Tanglao Mental Health. It is the Philippines' first and only social enterprise pioneering on mental health education. And so much so that she is championing this through her entire journey and has been invited in events such as the TEDx here in the Philippines. And of course, also shared her poetry and her message at SM Supermalls in University of the Philippines, Manila, and also the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association event. And of course, she has been also featured in media platforms such as GMA News Network. And of course, we love Rappler Philippines. So let's all welcome from, I don't know where you are in the Philippines, but I know that you are from the Philippines. Let's all welcome Anne Silva. Hello, Anne. Hi, Anne. Are you here? Okay. I think she is here because I can see her face. I mean,
Hello.
hi. Welcome to
Hello.
We Anne. Hi, Anne.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, hi,
How
hi.
are you?
I'm great. Thank you for your lovely introduction.
Thank you so much also for having this platform for your poetry. So
Yeah.
we're excited for your pieces tonight, Anne, and let's get it going. Anne
Yeah.
Silva.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lakan. So, actually, to be honest, I haven't written poems in a while. And when Lakan reached out to me, I was shocked because I'm not really used, I guess, to performing through Skype and through online. And so I challenged myself, why don't I try to write poems for this, just for this event. And of course, it was building up on, like, oh god, for the past few days I've been inside, and it's blowing my brains out because I'm a nature person and I need to be outdoors even though I'm an introvert. And I it was just making me crazy. So writing, when I started writing like just one poem, all of these words just spilled out of my mind, and I just, I ended up writing three poems. So for tonight, I have three poems for you, and I'm happy to be sharing all of these with you, as this honor was given to me by Lacan and We Poetry. So I'll just go straight into it, and you know you guys interpret it yourselves. Okay? So, how often does the shadow dance and prance among the sea of darkness? As you walk into the noise of your mind, bound by fear and anxiety, do you ever feel drowned or caged or trapped? The powerlessness you feel, like chains wrapped around and over you, and yet a sliver of hope shines in the corner of your mind, a small plea to rise and overcome. Be the hero of your life. How often does the hero save the weak and the silent from the villains? You tread towards the challenges, conquering left and right, protecting the small, the weak, the vulnerable. As you fight on through, you are empowered to keep going. No matter the matter, despite the risks, the thought, the life, once fallen in the phantom of dark, once dragged down by doubt and sham, think. How often does the wise shed a secret, whisper, a sage advice to harness? While the pain of defeat overwhelms, thoughts overpower you, yet you fail to acknowledge your own mind. Listen to the wise, with truths and realities to pray tell. A cold, icy turn of events that strengthen and bolden you. Once then, you become the hero and face the shadow with the mind of a sage. You become invisible within the deep trenches of the tower. How often does the mother spread warmth and laughter and nurturance? In a dark tower, you fall silent. There seems no heart, no warmth, no sun, as the logic of the mind envelops your misty eyes, and yet you have forgotten the slumbering mother awaiting your call. And like a babe crying for its mother, you begin to find yourself, embrace yourself, love yourself. You see yourself. And amidst the grueling and unforgiving world that surrounds you, the shadow, the hero, the wise man, the mother, they all fall within you. A nod towards their existence, a soft embrace, and you will find yourself whole and alive. An individuation. You are a whole human. So that is my first piece. The title of that poem is Individuation, and it's basically urging us to see everything around us, and acknowledge how seemingly fragile and seemingly scattered we are in our minds. And this is, of course, taking on a very psychological aspect of when you are able to find all of these different aspects of yourself, your dark side, the strong side of you, the wise side, the nurturing side, and when you're able to individuate them or make them whole again, you will find yourself, you'll be able to love yourself. And that's basically it. And when I wrote this, I was really thinking of how strong our frontline workers are, especially in this time of darkness and time of need. And it's basically a salutation to them. The next piece that I wrote, again, I'll be I'll just be sharing them with you and you be the judge. Slowly now, quiet now. The empty path is a winding one, and the twilight is fading fast. My footsteps are the only sound. The silence becomes my deafening companion. Like a hitchhiker, like a hermit, I search in vain for you. Empty as the world may be, filled with noise and fear and anxiety, a whisper of death, the glory of days of darkness are here. I tread lightly and carefully, dismissing the appeals for sadness, ignoring the cries of happiness is the only thing that's disappeared. The pain haunts me. The things I see, the things I feel, are all reflections of the world around me. The fear, the anxiety, the resounding noise of defiance. I seem to have forgotten home. The smell of peace, the beauty of a smile, the sound of silence, the ticking of the time. It makes me smile, it makes me yearn. Yet my mind is filled with darkness and sorrow and agony and fear, and I fall breathless just fighting off this noise. But here I am, a lone stranger, in the sea of familiar faces and familiar thoughts. I fall silent. They drown me. Yet, with feeble attempt to carry on, I drag my legs through the sludge. I breathe through the screams. If I were to find my way home, if I were to walk through this one-way street, I write my own soliloquy and go only with my shadow in the night. The universe speaks to me in rhymes and riddles, and amidst the confusion and drowning noise, I understand. I understand. So, hush now. Slowly now. I walk towards home. I walk towards peace. Okay. Now that
Woo!
piece. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you, thank you, thank you.
Like there's something about, I mean, I don't know, but I don't know with anyone, but like for me, every time that somebody says the word home in such a very personal way,
Mhm.
it just leads me, well, home. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, very much.
And I wonder, I mean, when you wrote that poem, that second piece,
Hmm.
like what what is that home that you're thinking of?
Really, it's just peace of mind. Because with everything that's been happening around us, it seems so silent, right? It seems so silent outside our houses, all in all the places. It seems so quiet, but really, it's so noisy inside our heads. It's so noisy on social media. Everyone is so noisy. Everything is so noisy, and we've forgotten just the value of peace of mind,
Mm,
and that's really home for me.
I mean, the stillness of it,
Exactly.
and well, some people would find silence eerie, but I suppose it's not really the silence per se, but is it really that just that emotion of being being still? being like in such a serene stage.
Yes, 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 exactly. It's I know it's a scary thought for a lot of people. Um,
Mm,
I actually did a talk once, and they were asking me, "Oh, can you do a talk about mindfulness?" Because a lot of people in our age are really so busy doing things, achieving things, and it's really something that's stressing them out, and that's really, you know, why can't we find that sort of peace inside our minds, like once in a while, just pause and breathe. And this is really about that. It's about going home to the stillness
and
of your
I
mind.
mean, home, and then then you establish, you built Tang Lao, and it's such a beautiful platform. It's a beautiful organization because it
Mhm.
really responds to something that has been overlooked by most people.
Yes.
And I'd like to actually thank Anne, because I got invited in University of the Philippines before for a focus group discussion about mental health and its stigmas. And like when you have those stigmas, how what do you tell people who are surrounded with this stigma, but who wants to go home?
You know, that's a great question, actually. And it's something that's really difficult, especially for people who are struggling with mental health problems. Because when you talk to people who have mental health problems, it seems as though, so many things are going on in their mind, and they're not able to find that, that kind of peace inside their own minds. And for someone who's helping, for someone who's helping that person per se, so let's say that person who's struggling with a mental health problem,
Mm-hmm.
it's not really up to us. It's not we can't really do anything unless they really want to help themselves. So that's why in our platform, what we do is we educate. So we try as best as we can to help you help yourself, because
Mm,
that's the most that we can do. We can't force you, right? We can't force you to take care of yourself. We can't force you to appreciate yourself. We can't force you to find the peace in your mind. We can only help
mm,
you help yourself.
mm. It's more of like you are not opening the door, but you're showing the doors that they can open.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I remember, since we're talking about mental health, somebody before I was in a very dark place, and then I had this friend who was just like giving me advice and advice after advice, and I just said, maybe your greatest advice is to shut up. And you know what? Sometimes silence can really be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
true.
mean, but for you, when you talk about people who are struggling with mental health conditions, like what would do you recommend poetry as a like a tool, or maybe like a way for them to cope with their mental condition?
You know, when people talk to me about, oh, how can you do this? How can you do that? Does this help? Does that help? The the answer that I most of the time, like 99% of the time I give is it depends. So, let's say a person who has a passion for reading or has a passion for writing, then of course I would recommend writing poetry. I would recommend writing a journal. I would recommend all of those things that would be helpful for you. But if you're not the type of person who really, who is has a good relationship, I would say, with words, then it's really up to you. Because it's not a one size fits all, you see.
Yeah, it everyone has a unique journey, right?
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
there's no formula. Like I remember like when we're talking about love, I mean, our nation, the Philippines, is just like we just live to love pretty much, and you know everything about love. And like people are like saying, so is there a formula on how to love and be loved? And I'm like, there's none,
Mhm.
dude.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so people really have come up to you and like say like you know like a love advice type of thing.
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, there's so many people that have, approached me over the
Mm-hmm.
over the years, and I'm sure there are few who have approached me regarding love.
Yeah, love is such a what do you call that? It's a staple. It's like rice. You
Uh-huh.
know, we can't live without
Okay.
that.
Yes, we're going into
um,
metaphors for the Filipino people.
so, but speaking of rice, I mean, I am hungry for more poetry from you. So let's dive
Yeah.
into your next piece now. Yes, let's do this.
Yes. All
Okay,
right.
answer again.
Thank you. Okay, so this is my last piece, and let me introduce you to a few senses, I guess, that might make you see, make you feel, make you hear, make you taste, make you smell the wonderful thing that is dot dot dot. So let me get into it. It sounded awfully familiar. The wind howled and danced around and through me, a resounding silence that overwhelms and buries me, and yet, as I breathe in and out, it disappears into the air. My playing in my mind is the catchy tune of the wind and silence, the words between the lines, the music between the breaks, the whispers between the breaths. It looked awfully light, as if I had passed through a tunnel and beams and rays hit my eyes and every part of my body. There, a palatable sea of dust swung all over me, free as the tortured heat. In my eyes reflected a fire, a shot, a hungry luminous beast. I saw in my mind the purpose that might be basking in light. It felt awfully open, standing on a field that showed nothing but the tactile prowess of the earth, the ground that raw and cool. The tall grass felt sharp and light, like a pinprick or a paper cut. Slowly I ran, to nowhere, to everywhere, and there I could feel I was nothing and everything all at once. It tasted awfully good. The rain poured down, coming from the distant thunder that crawled slowly towards me, gifting me with a miracle. It cleansed and bathed the shadow in sourness and placated wild. Once taken care of, will bear the most pleasant harmony of good and bad and sweet and bitter. The taste engulfs me in flight. It smelled awfully fragrant. Like the rose petals and lilies and tulips and lavender my mother danced among, the breath of the earth that floated towards me, like the most vibrant and lively parade of tingles. I traced my steps towards the sutured colors and scents I was introduced to. I painted in my mind the vision of the universe moving down and grasping me in its embrace. I could never have imagined that this is what I would come across: a music, a vision, a feeling, a flavor, an aroma, engaging the wits and opening up a world where one would be This must be it. This must be the feeling of freedom. Thank you.
Freedom. Oh, this is
Yes.
very timely with the quarantine situation of our
This
country.
was the first piece that I wrote because I was feeling it. Yeah.
Really? Oh, shoot! Because like I think it's interesting how we can get really cooped up and then realize, and we ask ourselves, wait, what is again? Well, what is to be free again? You know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Mhm.
like for you, what what is freedom for you?
Freedom really is an experience, you know. That's why in the poem I introduced it through different senses. I introduced it as a sound. I introduced it as light. I introduced it as a feeling. I introduced it as a taste and an aroma. Because for me, when you are experiencing freedom, you're engaging all of those senses. You feel light, you feel happy, you taste only sweetness, you smell only fragrant, scents. And you experience everything that makes life good for you. So that
Hmm.
really is freedom for me.
I mean, it's a fickle thing. I think freedom because it's unique to each and every one of us. I think,
Uh-huh.
and your sense of freedom. I was just like, I was floating already in some obscure universe, and which is like amazing because that is what poetry is. I mean, hence Plato hating us for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay.
right. We pretty much deconstruct logic. But the thing is, like, I think people don't understand that poetry is also about logic. That's why we have pieces that really respond to social issues. I
Uh-huh.
mean, if we're not logical, then we won't be doing that, right? So,
Correct.
but I bet a lot of our viewers would love to read more of your poems or see some of your videos or your platform at Tanglao.
Mm,
Maybe you want to like
mm,
help
mm.
also. So maybe you could tell us where they can reach you.
Yeah. So, Tanglao Mental Health, as Lacanas introduced, is the Philippines' first and only social enterprise that's pioneering mental health education. So we provide workshops, we provide talks for different organizations and institutions such as SM Supermalls, PGCA, and other as well, like Manila, de Manila, or San Beda University. So we provided pretty much a lot for those organizations. And so we also invite other other companies, other organizations, whoever would like to know more about mental health. We provide free educational, posts on mental health and different aspects of mental health through our Facebook page. You can reach us at Tanglao Mental Health. We're also on Instagram at Tanglao Mental Health. And if you have questions that you have and you would like us to personally um, answer you regarding those questions, you can email us through tanglaomentalhealth at gmail.com. You can also message us on Facebook and then on Instagram. And right now, Tanglao is expanding online. So we're creating, we're in the works of providing services online. Just siguro, I'll just give a hint. Let's say a website, dot dot dot, and so will be available on that platform in the near future. Actually, I'm hopefully before the quarantine ends, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome, and you know what? It is so amazing that poets go beyond poetry and
Correct. Correct.
translate that into action and to really go beyond the words and walk
Hmm.
the talk, as they would say.
Correct.
And thank you so much for your bright,
Thank
bright
you.
soul. Thank you. And would love to have you back here and read poetry, but definitely
Yes.
not for like dark poetry nights.
Of course, I'm too light for that. Yeah.
But it's such yeah, I have a very, very
Yeah.
uplifting moment with you here at We
So
Poetry.
call me when you need a beacon of light.
Yes, absolutely, and you know that from our past engagements.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Anne.
Thank you, Lakan, and thank you, We Poetry. Uh, Next time again. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, Anne. So that was Anne from somewhere in the Philippines. And we're so happy to have someone that is so inspiring and who inspires other people also by doing something that's concrete about her advocacy. And speaking of advocacy now, I think it's time to fly from the Philippines. We're going to go back to Singapore, and Singapore is one of those first countries that got hit by COVID-19 early January, somewhere in January, and there is much hope that has sprung out from Singapore and all over the world, and it will be interesting in how to also find hope and find voices that speak of how we can heal and how we can express ourselves in this very, very dire of times. So our next poet is a journalist by training, and she is a writer and a spoken word artist, a communications consultant as well when she's not taking the stage. She's the researcher of the book The Billionaire Raj, a journey through India's new gilded age, written by James Crabtree. Through poetry, this poet seeks to find answers of the outer conflicts by inquiring the human consciousness and feelings that we have within us. Her writings and poems have appeared in Hindustan Times, Live Mint, Feminism in India, New Asian Writing, and Center for Feminist Foreign Policy. My goodness, we are so proud because, of course, we are celebrating Women's Month here at We Poetry tonight and the rest of this month. Let's all welcome in Singapore, Mariam Hadler.
Hello, thank you so much. Okay, I'm a little overwhelmed by the beautiful introduction you gave me. I almost thought I'm listening to someone else about someone else. Uh, but
Welcome.
thank you so much, Lakan. I first and foremost wanted to thank the team of We Poetry Global. I am so like humbled by the work and effort that you all put together in curating the artists and bringing them together and really helping us find hope and brightness in times where we are just isolated. Like we can't move out, we don't want to, be a carrier, we don't want to threaten anyone's lives. And this form of poetry just keeps us so much in tune with the world. And to all the poets who've read so far, I joined in at around, I think, 7:50 p.m. and I've just been listening. Like I've just been sitting on mute and listening because it's so inspiring. So thank you everyone who's joined in. Thank you everyone who's listening. Especially Lakan, I think you should very, very officially and professionally mention that you're a fantastic moderator. You
Oh, thank
bring the
you.
conversations out so beautifully with every poet that I've listened to so far. And I think your level of engagement, and from a comms perspective, I'm saying your level of engagement is organic. Like I was listening to you and I was like, I could take a few like lessons from Lakhan on how to moderate sessions. So thank you for that.
Okay, I'm currently like my cheeks are red. No. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Um,
Mariam.
No, not at all, not at all. In fact, my cheeks are red as well. Like I'm genuinely nervous at this point because I've been listening to such beautiful poems by everyone, and I'm just like, I'm just thankful and grateful that I'm performing with some of such beautiful poets and artists out there. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll be reading two poems today. One is a poem that actually got published in the Center for Feminist Foreign Policy. So the reason why I added that was, oh, this is the first time it's published there. It's a poem that I wrote last year, and it's about understanding the space that a woman has and how she navigates her space within the world. The Center for Feminist Foreign Policy came out with a journal that was on reproductive justice. And so this poem has tried to understand the space that a woman offers to this world when she is going to become a mother and what the world in turn gives to her. So I'm going to read it out first. It's called Born a Woman. In my mother's womb, I grew arms, legs, body, mind, heart, and soul, taking shape and taking form, only to learn that every space I enter is given on lease to me, subject to my body, born a woman. A room I must seek permission to enter. A bed I must honor the man I sleep with. A street I must pay respects fully clothed. A breathe. Breathe it all in. Stick yourself to the wall, shrink yourself to the size of a keyhole, so small that even you cannot find your reflection in the mirror, so quiet that even you cannot hear your footsteps as you walk, so misgiving that you lose your way inside your own house. Legs closed, breasts hidden, laugh suppressed, opinions negated, thoughts drowned, pain ignored, abuse appropriated, fear normalized, my identity contextualized into words that cry hollow, that scream into the void, shadowed in perceptions of what being a woman meant: modesty, obedience, suffering, woman's honor, they said. Soon, I learned to give space, not just to others' opinions, but also make home for them. My mind, that was my sacred space, I turned into a gall of invective towards every inch of my body. Narrated by millennia old cadavers, singed by traditions and expectations, embalmed off the self, I now sought permissions to take space, even within my own head. Covering all spatial dimensions a woman holds, this world convinces her she must agree to the tenancy before she is validated of being whole. Herself is not pronounced by her own, herself is defined by those outside. But my mother did not howl, giving birth to me. She released a battle cry to announce my being. Nurturing space within her, she bestowed me with the energy to carve my own space, to create my own destiny. A lesson this world forced me to forget, a lesson I now carry every day. Space is not an affirmation, and space is not a quest. Space is miscarried hope that I try giving birth to wherever I am, wherever I go. That's it. Thank you.
Whew. Okay, I have to catch my breath there. Okay. Okay. I mean, if only I wasn't on mute, because I'm in mute when people perform. I swear to God, you can like hear a bit of howling and a bit of like, oh my God, and I really feel such sincere message from your heart, and it's something that is needed. Um, in these times. I mean, when people feel that they can project strength and that showing weakness is wrong.
Mm.
And I just feel like that's strength from your poem. The voice beneath those letters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, every time I've read this poem, it gives me the jitters. And I think if anyone else had even written this poem or read it out to me, I would feel the same because it's not my story. Like it's a story of every woman that I have spoken to, I have ever met. Like it doesn't matter which country you belong, it doesn't matter which community you come from. It is always so relevant that it's just something I feel like within my bones. It's impossible for me to not recognize that space is always in, like I'm always bargaining for more space everywhere I am. And I don't even know to a very large extent what degree of space was always mine. Nobody ever told
Mm.
you, this is yours. You don't need to claim it, you know. Everyone just told you that you can only get enough that you can live through it, you know. And I'm glad that this conversation is happening more and more in different circles, not
Yeah.
just literature, in policies, in wherever we are, but most importantly, I think, as I said, it needs to happen on an emotional level. When we are
Absolutely.
when we are talking about simple things like why should I need to worry if a bus is overcrowded, that should I get in or not? Like why is that
Mm.
made in my head? And it always has to come from there. We can write all the policies and implement laws and have and make sure that the world is safer for women, but unless and until that dialogue in our mind, and it takes me back to the poems that were being read earlier, that when it comes to understanding yourself, like even with mental health, you can't help someone until you help yourself.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I can't be like, oh, I'm going to help you because I know how this works. I don't, like even my journey of asking for my own space, of claiming my own space is very different from some other person. But the fact
Yes.
that we all understand that is what is needed.
And I think like in these times of distraught, I think finding who you are, your core, your own anchor,
Yeah.
before you can hold another person's anchor,
Mm.
or show that anchor to another person, you should have your own steady.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that, I mean, of course we love to share,
Yeah.
but before we can share, we need to know that we have shared enough of ourselves to ourselves.
Yes. I could not agree more. Yes. Because
You know,
how do we how do we first, like we need to first hear ourselves. Like I need to be very comfortable with every thought in my mind, everything about myself, and then recognize that a lot of thoughts will actually be conditioned, so I need to negate them as well, and then reach a point where I'm confident in speaking or sharing, or the idea of helping. It's very arbitrary to say I can help, let me know if I can help. You can't unless you have the openness to take on someone else's vulnerability. You know what I mean?
yeah, because I mean, it's like you're a child and you want to save an adult from drowning.
Yes.
I mean, we appreciate your sense of altruism, but it is I think in that situation you can say that it's misplaced.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not. We're not saying that you shouldn't help people. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, the idea of help, I think for me, when it comes, the word help is very community driven. Like
Mm,
amazingly so, I'm
yeah.
recognizing that each of us have to live through this thing called life, and it is going to leave its scars, and it is going to hurt, and it is going to cause pain, and it will also bring tremendous amounts of joy. And the biggest source of joy is in sharing. And I think
Yeah.
that sharing, that community driven approach to just acknowledging that we're all in this together, and that develops into a I wouldn't say platform, like a narrative that you derive help from.
Mm.
Deriving help from this 1 hour of sitting with people that I have personally not known, you know. But
Yeah.
how surreal it is that I'm sitting in my own room in the times, like as you said, one of the darkest periods that we perhaps lived through, and I'm speaking to you, whom I met like once at a poetry evening where Venezia was as well. I mean, it's one of the most tremendously beautiful things for me, you know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like you,
And
yeah, go on.
like you don't know if you're gonna meet someone that's gonna be we can say that gonna make an impact because like well actually you can like when people ask me about love, okay, people ask me about love advices, you know, and and they would tell me, you know, I've been with this person for the longest time, and it's like no no no, it's not about the length, it's about the depth.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm so happy. I just met, yeah, you mentioned we just met like maybe 3 times in total.
Yes.
Right. But you know there is it's there's something that binds
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
you know, and and that's why like for me like being in this platform, I mean not just when I host like tonight, I don't think of myself as like, ooh, I founded this. No no no, it was like for me, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be part of this entire thing, and I'm so excited because I get to talk to you guys. I mean that's my privilege, I suppose, because like I get to know the person behind the voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and like for me, I would definitely would want to know more of that voice, and I know that you have one more piece ready for us.
It's a short one. So
Oh.
it is something, I was having a conversation with someone who wasn't, so I don't know how familiar you are guys with what's happening back in India, but for almost 3 to 4 months, there was a consistent movement against the Citizenship Amendment Act, which has
Yes.
which entitles the state to rip away someone's citizenship based on whether they have the documents to prove their citizenship. Unfortunately, while it seems to be quite secular in nature, it is actually targeted against minorities, specifically Muslims.
Mm.
And there has been, ever since this got announced last year in December, a phenomenal number of people have been on the streets in different parts of the country demanding that this act is repealed, that people are like the idea of a secular India is reinstored. And just last week, since the time things have become really grim back in India because of the outbreak of the virus, everyone is on lockdown. Everyone, rightfully so, has been asked to stay at home to disband all forms of protest physically. And
Okay.
I was sharing something on social media the other day about how we can also use this time to use our voices online to continue the movement, the resistance, to continue education and awareness of what is happening
Sure.
in India in a different manner. And then somebody wrote me saying that let's not talk about the CA and the political activism, especially when there's a virus outbreak, because that is more important.
Yeah. Okay.
And his
Uh,
was that this is more important. If no one is alive, how are people going to fight it? And my point was
here.
your idea of being alive is based on the fact that now we are,
Mm.
and you completely disregard the fact that the reason why people were on the street was because their lives were under threat.
Yes.
So I wrote something, and it's something I came up with, and I'm just going to read it out. So it's called Resistance in Times of a Pandemic. There is a pandemic out there. Let go of your political narrative. Because you could die if you don't and threaten everyone's lives around here. Go home. Stop criticizing. Dissent can wait. I'll tell you one thing, and I won't tell you again. There is nothing as devastating as the reality that we all wake up to each day. But you see, I have been living with this anxiety even before the virus outbreak. An anxiety over my own identity, my name, my citizenship, my home, imposed by a power that you put in place. A constant fear of not being able to call my own home my safe space. You are saying people's lives are at stake now, but people's lives were at stake yesterday as well. Not yours, not your life. You see, you wouldn't have been affected by the state policy, the CAA, or the NRC. You didn't understand the fear that pushed me out of home in the first place or put me on the street. No one leaves their home until it is on fire, until it is no longer safe, until someone threatens to take it away. This pandemic has forced us to stay home. Only yours is a permanent one, and mine is at stake. Social distancing, 6 feet apart. Stay home, stay away from one another. The CAA and NRC debate can happen another day, another time of the year. But you don't see this. I never wanted to be on the street in the first place, but I did because someone threatened to take it away. I wanted to sleep peacefully in my home, but I sit sleepless on streets, camped in the winters of distress. You now ask me to go away home, practice self isolation within my own walls that would be burned down if I'm not vigilant. So tell me what I should do. Stay like a tenant in my own home, stay safe until the state deems so, or rather, stay alive until it is convenient for all. That's it.
Okay, I want to scream right now for every single person in India who are. Okay, calm down. Um, yes, I think people have to talk about that. I mean, alongside safety, I mean, people have to think about what safety really is, and for like your poem talks about the safety of a person of being in a home that is called a country, and then realizes that, oh, by the way, I'm just a tenant,
Hmm.
and it just rips people apart. And to come up with a poem that speaks so raw about that emotion is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I mean, actually, I don't want to add anything more to it. I think as I said, I've been reading about this for the past couple of months at some readings in Singapore physically as well. I am happy to have a conversation with people. It's a weird sense of disposition that's just
Mhm.
constantly on your mind. Like, I don't know, like, why do I have to worry about my citizenship? I mean, isn't there enough things to worry about? You know?
Uh,
And and the reality is that you still do. You still have to go on with your.
yeah.
You still have to continue living like you did, like worry about your rent and worry about your electricity bill and now with this pandemic unfolding, yes, the protests have been disbanded, rightfully so, but we don't know what happens after that. Do we come back on the street? Does the state say again that actually this is going to continue? What is happening? I mean, if nothing else, this pandemic has forced us to see that beyond everything, humanity is the most important thing. Whether it's in your own home or whether it's with your neighbor,
Mhm.
like humanity just is, it supersedes everything else. And if we continue worrying about the fact that actually no, it's more important to, like, I want to, like, make sure that all the outsiders are not in my country. I mean, there's no hope there.
I think I had a piece before, and I did say that I would love not just to be human, but I want to also know that I can be humane to myself.
Hmm.
And there's a huge difference between the two, and like you realizing that you have lost home, and which is interesting because your first piece was um homing to that,
Yeah,
and then the
that
second and the third,
that way. Hmm.
beautiful, though, how you have escalated that feeling and then ending with that piece. My goodness, it was beautiful.
Are you reading something after this?
What, sorry?
What are you reading after this?
Oh, we're gonna have more. We'll have more. We have 5 or 6 more poets actually after you, and we have to cut this short. I am so sorry, but
Oh, no, no,
you
please.
know,
I'm curious. I'm keen on listening to other poets. Honestly, like I'm just going to be here. I don't have anything for the evening.
we're gonna be transferring to a new we're going to be taking a break just for like a minute, and we're going to be moving on to the next segment, which is for the open mic. So and we're very excited to have these poets, and thank you so much, Mariam.
Thank
thank you
you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
your Thank you for your voice, and I hope that you get to like be part of our future shows, because we'd love to hear how you're going to transcend that those words and make it reach as many people as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakan. Thank you, everyone.
Th- Thank you so much, Mariam. So, okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to move into our next segment. So just stay tuned because we're going